Hi. I know it's been a while. The reason I'm doing this is because of the death of Edward Van Halen. Um, Pardon the outside noise. Um, I don't like virtue signaling people who use like the tragedies of others to, you know, capitalize on them or whatever. But um, I think this is a kind of a teachable moment, and like obviously, I'm under no illusions. I know that his family, his brother, his son, um, his wife, his ex-wife, all are feeling as much worse as former bandmates. I'm sure that David Lee Roth, Michael Anthony, and Sammy Hagar are kind of broken up about this as well. And of course, there are lots of fans. I have like no exclusive connection to him. I'm just a fan um, who was affected by this. I'm sure like millions of other people have. I kind of can't believe that some idiot called him like the founder of a classic rock band. No, he was the founder of a band that became seminal. That was one of the most influential bands in rock and in pop history. He wasn't just someone who wrote a couple catchy tunes, which is the way that person on the news made it sound. Founder of classic rock. No, he didn't get around. It said around 1973 with his brother and say, "Let's found a classic rock band." But anyway, and you're thinking, why am I talking about Van Halen on a weight loss channel? Well, I have a point to all of this, believe it or not. But to make it, I have to talk about this. Van Halen, to me, what he Edward Van Halen, what he meant to me is I'm afraid of sounding like I'm exaggerating or whatever, but I'm just going to tell you the truth, and if you buy it, you buy it. If you don't, well, I did my best. Edward Van Halen literally changed how I saw the world. When I was in college is when I first really felt his influence. I heard Van Halen growing up, as a kid. It was in the background like everything else. I like a lot of seminal rock acts. That was what was on the radio, so I kind of took it for granted. But in college, for whatever reason, it just really clicked. It and the music of Van Halen just had a profound influence on my life. And it kind of happened in stages. At first, I just really kind of latched onto it. In fact, I wrote a paper for one of my college philosophy courses based on a Van Halen song, believe it or not. Got an A. But then one time, I was at one of the museums on campus. I went to a state university and, had several museums. And I was in a museum like one afternoon just killing time because I had an appointment, I think, in the administrative building or whatever. And this song called "Love Walks In" came on my Walkman, cassette Walkman. That's how old I am. And I just literally had an epiphany, especially during the guitar solo. For those of you who are Van Halen fans, you know what I'm talking about. And it literally just started changing the way I saw myself and I saw my life. And I don't want to go too into this because this isn't about me. It's just I want to lay the foundation for like why this was so important. But it literally, that song at that time, for whatever reason, it literally changed the way I saw things. And so in my mind, I was at university, and my mind was just expanding and growing and seeing all these things. And about the time that I was just starting to grasp, like the Impressionists, like Monet. To me, Edward Van Halen's music is like Monet, in that once you see something and once you connect with it, it has something that really profoundly affects you. And like throughout the years, Van Halen's music had the obvious effect. I bought a guitar. Who didn't? And, I quickly came to realize that I would fall miserably short in musical talent compared to him. And, but like, ever since that point, their music had been like a constant. And in fact, it gotten to the point where I had started to listen to it less because I was afraid that if I listened to it too much, I was afraid it was just going to like kind of melt in the background. I'd be too used to it. And I wanted to preserve that intensity of experience. And so, I listened to it a little bit less um, but I always went back to it and always would, find at some point to just sit by myself in the room and just like listen to the music and soak it up. Um, and I even like the lesser appreciated songs. Like one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite Van Halen songs is Aftershock, um, and Feelin' off of the Bounce albums. Both of those I really like. The solos are just incredible. And anyway, so I was really attached to this music and the way I understood the world, like composition and he had a very European sensibility. Even though he's a red blood American guy, but he saw this European sensibility about him in terms of like composition, like his tastes and such, which I really appreciated. I guess the Dutch do just crank out masters left and right because he was obviously one of them. But anyway, so um, he just had such an influence, and even when it came to like writing, um, he helped me to understand certain things that are hard for me to articulate because it's something that's felt sometimes rather than just intellectual, and that's just one of the things. Is it just like he impacted me so deeply. He's literally one of my heroes, and I found out that he died. It was a gut punch, man. I mean, it was a hard punch. Um, I'm not an overly emotive guy, believe it or not, but I mean, I actually kind of broke up for a little bit. And I'm not telling you this to elicit sympathy. I mean, trust me, I understand. I'm like the least important factor in this equation here. But the reason I'm telling you this is because here comes the teachable moment in terms of keto. You know, I've been this is it's obviously it's October 2020. I started doing like strict keto in January of 2020. And since then I've lost like 120 something pounds. Um, Needless to say, I was doing really well. My doctors are pleased. Everyone I know is pleased, right? I know you can't tell from this angle because it just makes my face look dumpy, but I've lost quite a bit of weight. But anyway, I have been cruising along. I've even incorporated like carb cycling and some other things, to like really fine tune this. I mean, I've just been humming along. Like when I do the carb cycling, I can't wait to get on the strict keto again. I have like really bought into this. And so the thing that really shocked me, but at the same time didn't, was when I heard this, like for like 5 minutes I was reeling. I mean, I was reeling. Um, and I literally didn't know what to do with myself because one of my heroes, there it goes again. One of one of my heroes died, and and so I thought, like after I started getting back together, one of the things I thought about was like, man, I could really use a pizza right now. I mean, isn't that screwed up? I mean, one of the first things I thought was, what can I do to like get some relief, to ameliorate this um, a little. And that was my first thought. And then, you know, 4 minutes later, 5 minutes later, metacognition clicks in, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. That was your trigger, and this is your drug, Ron. And that's right. And that's one of the things you have to think about is like, why do we get to the point where we're overweight in the first place? And I think for a lot of us, it was using food as a drug. It's no different than any other addiction, like hard drugs, alcohol, which I know is a drug, but we still differentiate it for whatever reason. I guess maybe the way it's consumed. I don't know. But anyway, that was my go-to for the moment. You know, for like 2 or 3 minutes, I really thought, chips or pizza, something like something crunchy, something salty, something help me, help me, help me. Um, but once I became aware of it, I was able to manage it. And now, mind you, again, 10 months, 9 months, I guess technically, 9 months, clean keto. And, I mean, even the cheese I snack on is organic, right? And so the the fact that I could so quickly, revert to that pattern behavior, A, means we have to be on top of things. B, we have to understand why we do things because I think it helps us get a handle on it. And C, even if I had screwed up, I hope I would have the presence of mind to forgive myself. Because if I don't, just like I think everyone else, if I don't, I think it becomes a cycle where I could have like slipped and fallen, and who knows how long it would take me to pick myself up and get back on the wagon, so to speak. And so that's why I wanted to share this, because I wanted to connect it to something really authentic, this emotional pain I felt and my response to medicate myself. And I thought, well, if I share this, maybe someone else could benefit from this, understand, and then maybe forgive themselves. Because that's ultimately how we move on for losing weight, is by doing that, is by forgiving ourselves, um, is by doing that. And I hope that at least in some way that this really just, I can't say traumatic because that's not fair. I don't want people to think I'm like drafting off of, the Van Halen's family tragedy for myself, because I realize that at the end of the day, like, I'm someone watching this from the back of a very long room, right? But it still impacted me. I mean, that represented my youth, it represented my intellectual freedom, my liberation, my a lot of things. It's been a constant in my life. And to know that there's never going to be anything new, that they're never going to get back together again, that I'm never going to have the chance to see him live or, whatever, you know, even as a fan, that's a lot to take in. And again, I understand that his family is going through many, many, many times worse hardship than I am. I get that. I don't want you to think I think this is about me, or like I have like a special connection to him. I used to stalk him online, but we were really buddies. No, I'm not. I have no patience for celebrity stalkers or people who try to, draft off of someone else's tragedy to profit from it. I'll never monetize this video, just so you know. But it's just, I mean, it was. I have a hard time making myself understand this, and so that was it. And so I just wanted everyone to recognize the mechanism, um, and for me to say to King Edward the First, Farvel and Hud Sechenech. I hope that's close enough to the Dutch. Anyway, thank you for your time.